welcome to our channel. Today, what I'm curious about is generalized anxiety disorder. I want us to talk about this. Some people learn to wake up with a sense of unease even when nothing is wrong as children. For such people, the day starts normally, but there is a tension inside them, as if something bad is gonna happen. Over time, these people make staying on alert a habit. Even if their mind tells them to relax, their body is always in a state of readiness. And most of the time, not feeling is seen as the only way to survive. So why do we feel this way, and why can't we stop this feeling?
By the way, Yeshim is our intern. Since we are a professional clinic, and because we're filming this video unprepared, today Yeshim was curious about this topic and we wanted to shoot a video about it.
Yes,
it's a good topic. Now, yes, as you said in the story, it's generalized anxiety disorder. It's usually something that has its roots in childhood. Children who grow up with conditional love or who grow up without enough attention or approval often experience this. I mean, it's frequently seen in adulthood. The brain has a structure like this. Look, the brain adapts to whatever it is exposed to. You know how people always say that our ability to adapt is high? Whatever we expose our brain to, that's what it learns. It doesn't care whether it's good or bad for us. It just wants to feel safe and adapts to that. So, how do the foundations of generalized anxiety disorder trace back to childhood? Let me touch on this from a neuropsychological perspective as well, just like in every video. Let me explain this to you too. What does the brain learn? Well, it learns to seek acceptance and approval. How in generalized anxiety disorder, it learns this in an unhealthy way. For example, the constant fear of being criticized as if something bad is always about to happen. So how does this situation turn into a behavior or a simple feeling? Things like the fear of being criticized, the fear of not being accepted. Yes.
Hokam, let me ask you a question. Is this only towards the family, or does it also include the environment, teachers, students, fatherhood?
Environment. So we can't just attribute it to the family. We can't make it that specific. Wherever we are most intensely exposed, that's where it takes shape. In fact, for something to turn into a trauma for us, we need to be exposed to it continuously. And naturally, the process of adaptation and learning develops over time. The brain has learned this, and actually, this is what transactional analysis is about. Now, at that point, the individual is stuck in their childhood, and they start to generalize this to their life. Because why? Look, don't forget this. The brain always wants to feel safe in order to adapt. That's why the brain wants to adapt. It wants to adapt in order to learn and feel safe. It spreads what it has learned throughout its entire life because we need to feel safe. And what kind of behaviors do such people display? Let me briefly talk about them as well. For example, they act very conciliatory or they behave very anxiously. Most of the time, they think about the worst possible outcomes of situations and spend time making plans about what precautions they can take against them. The more we expose our brain to negativity, now the brain cannot distinguish between what is real and what is hypothetical. As a result, it perceives hypothetical situations as if they are real. Over time, this increases our level of anxiety. When our anxiety level rises above the manageable threshold, the amygdala is activated. When the amygdala is activated, the brain's ability to reason becomes impaired. Even if the prefrontal cortex, as you mentioned in your story, keeps saying stay calm, relax, because the anxiety level is so high, logic goes out the window. We start to act based on our emotions.
Some people freeze up in crisis situations.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this an even more dangerous situation for us?
Well, this is our amygdala's freeze response. At that point, it can't find anything to do and locks up. And what we need to do, if we can manage it, depending on the level of generalized anxiety disorder, it gets increasingly difficult to achieve this. We need to be able to detach from our emotions a bit, or look at ourselves and the processes from the outside and make healthy decisions so that we can move toward a solution and get out of the crisis.
So, how long does this period last?
Individuals who generally have an anxious brain structure, especially struggle a lot during crisis situations. So what does their brain learn, for example? How can I constantly escape from crises?
For them, is staying completely numb kind of a fight?
They stay numb because they can't fight anyway. I can't find anything to do. It's not about what the situation is, but the meaning we assign to that situation that matters. For example, let's say I dropped a glass while filming a video and it broke. If I assign this kind of meaning to the incident, I embarrass myself in the video. I can't even hold the glass in my hand. The glass fell, broke, and water spilled everywhere. What am I going to do now? If I attach meanings like these, my anxiety level starts to rise. The brain tends to quickly put into practice what it has learned. My sincere advice to individuals experiencing high anxiety levels is this. Carefully review your thoughts, thoroughly examine your feelings, and begin to thoughtfully consider how you can effectively take greater control of them.
So, what's a more normal reaction when the glass breaks? I wasn't embarrassed, it just fell and broke. That's a safe situation.
Yes, you just move on. Or let me put it this way, maybe we do get embarrassed. Is that a huge disaster for us? Do we really have to be perfect? This, for example, is often something learned in childhood.
Is there a way to get rid of all these situations?
Now, self-awareness. The brain also has this feature. If the pleasure he gets at the end is less than the price he pays, in other words. If he has to put in too much effort and work to achieve it, then it's simply exhausting for him. When we approach most situations with too much anxiety, which is a dysfunctional safety strategy our brain has learned, then we will start to become mentally worn out. People with generalized anxiety disorder, especially in crisis situations, exhibit the freeze response you mentioned. At that point, it's no longer a normal situation, it's excessive. Excessive what?
Freezing.
The freeze response. So it stops being something that can be controlled. Like, oh no, what am I going to do? We're completely stuck. In such situations, panic attacks and digestive problems are frequently experienced. These are the body's excessive reaction during crisis situations.
Thank you. This information has been very helpful for me. I hope the viewers have also gained some awareness. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like, and leave a comment.
Yes, I will see you in the very next video.